9 months ago, I looked like this. I had tried every diet, every exercise program, every trick in the book, but I kept gaining weight. I was that guy. But this movie isn't about me. It's about what I've learned. You can lose the weight while living a normal life.
We're given this idea that if you eat this sort of way, you're definitely going to lose weight. This is going to be better for you.
Well, that's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Is he inactive because he's 400 pounds, or is he 400 pounds because he's inactive?
The only advice that I've ever really gotten from a doctor is you have to lose weight.
We pooled the knowledge of the most well-respected celebrity trainers and nutritionists, and you're not going to believe what we found.
The right answer is that you need to look at the individual. The right answer is stop looking for a magic pill. It's not going to show up. You're not going to find it.
The people who think that they can just enter a diet, get somewhere, and then they'll be where they want, they always will end up disappointed.
The big secret is this. There is no diet that is right for every person because we all process food differently. There's a reason your friend lost weight using a diet that made you gain 20 pounds. We found why popular diets only work for some people and how to figure out what is best for you and your body.
It's not whether you can afford it, it's whether you can afford not to do it. You're either going to spend money on your health or you're going to spend money in your hospital for your health.
You don't have to work out like you see on weight loss reality shows. And you don't have to obsess.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TGT Media. I'm your host Kurt Sasso. This is episode 228 and I am super excited to be here because, we bring creative people onto the show and they're wonderful in themselves, but we never really get to an actual in-depth people person type aspect when it comes to life altering lessons and also, for that matter, life changing events. And we're joined today by an amazing talented film and documentarian, Gabe Evans, of course, from the popular movie DVD at that, which you can get on Indiegogo, which is Indiegogo/Fat Movie. We have Gabe Evans and creator of Why Am I So Fat? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for asking. Like I said in the green here, I love these types of stories because everyone has a challenge they have to overcome, be it work-related, personal. In this case, it was a health-related issue. And talk about, why you wanted to do this type of documentary.
I wanted to do the documentary because I'd done bunches of diets before, but I'd never found success with it because it always turned into something where I felt like I was trying to figure it out, and I was trying to cheat the system in a way to see with what I could get away with and still be able to get the results. So once I had made the decision, I started filming it probably once I'd lost about 70 pounds. So I had some initial video from way at the beginning, but I didn't actually actively start with the idea until I'd made some progress because I wanted to know that I could actually show people that the results were working and it's something that you can actually follow, and it's, I don't know, it's been a really cool experience just because I've had issues and I feel like I've figured, I don't know. It's been really exciting because everything has fallen into place over the course of this as well, which is something I didn't really expect. Because I found it started when I was working at a tech support company in downtown LA, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. It's not why I moved out to California, so I decided that I was going to make a change. And I realized that it was time to start focusing on myself, and then once I started focusing on myself, I was able to see the results in my social life. I got a different job opportunity, and I've been able to be happier and healthier. So it's all worked out. Pretty cool. Yeah.
It's like the lifelong dream: go to LA, be a different person, and you've done it. That's great.
Yeah, it's true. It's crazy.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, I have the images you sent me here, and now your starting weight was how much?
435 pounds.
Wow.
So
And
that's a lot. Yeah.
that is a lot. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
5'8". Okay,
So
so
my recommended body weight is somewhere between like 130 and 160.
yeah, I don't go by that.
Yeah, who knows about the recommended body weight? But but like by the BMI, that's what my target was supposed to be. So I had almost tripled that, I guess, which is pretty nuts. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So out of the, you hit on the points of the fad diets. You hit on the points of Weight Watchers, among other things here. But let's really break this down here, because I've gone through diets as well, and I did the Atkins diet. Well, wait. Yeah, I did the Atkins diet. I've done a few others as well. I did the Bernstein diet, was the last one I did.
Okay.
And I saw extreme results very quickly, but I couldn't maintain it. And I think that's the main thing that people go through is, how do you maintain not only a healthy lifestyle?
Well, when you did that, did you get to the number that you wanted and then kind of stop doing it, or were you continuing to do the thing that they wanted you to do?
I'd say I got to my number and I stopped doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I found I was running out of energy. I was doing, I was trying to keep up with it, and as much as one could, but I was like,
Yeah.
I have nothing to keep me going.
Well, the thing that I've found is the goal should be to get more energy as a result of what you're doing. So you don't want to be depriving your body of anything. So I haven't been starving myself. I haven't been doing anything in a way that's dangerous for my health. It's been more about cooking foods or like doing fresh things that I know are going to have like a higher mineral content. So then if you got the higher mineral content, your body is satisfied and it's okay with releasing the bad stuff. So it's funny and it's cool seeing how your body actually works. And once you become in tune with it, you're going to have more energy. Like I was working at this internet security place from a 2:30 to 11 p.m. shift every day, and I was trying to get up in the morning to do stuff, but then by the end of the day, I wouldn't have any time or any energy, and I would have to go to sleep, and it would just be this cycle of not getting to do anything at all. And so once I started doing it, I mean, sometimes I'm up for 18 hours of a day, and I just do it. Like, and it doesn't, like, sleep is something else that's been really funny to me. I don't need as much sleep as I used to. Like I can sleep for 5 or 6 hours a night instead of 7 or 8, and I can get up in the morning before my alarm. Wow, weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so when are you going to bottle this energy that you have and sell it to the rest of mass America there?
I mean, it's right here. It's right. Yeah.
Let's take a step back here. When you started this, I heard. Oh, sorry, Bubba, that's downstairs. When you started all of this here, there's a quote in your actual trailer that we played at the beginning of this interview. It's like, the doctor told me I just needed to lose weight and I didn't know what to do. I mean, that seems to be a very common question that you get when you go to your doctor and said, well, you're 30 pounds over.
Well, the thing that is really interesting is I went for a physical at the beginning of the year because I'm supposed to get my physical. And I told my doctor that I had been losing a bunch of weight. And he's like, oh, well, that's great. I heard about a diet that you could try if you eat 5 bites of something, and that's it. And it makes you realize that they don't even really know everything. Like, you think they do because they're certified and they know how to, like, monitor things, but they don't know the answer, So that's why you see a lot of doctors that are overweight. And you see a bunch of doctors that have been struggling with that as well. And I don't know, like, it's very interesting that they tell you that you need to lose weight, but they can't even give you the guidance to do it. And that's something we've been talking about, or we're looking into, is the issue of like preventative health. So if you are eating the right things and doing the right things for your body, you're going to avoid having to go to the doctor. And I know they've been talking about it with a lot of the health initiatives and things that have been going around right now in the U.S. I don't know about in Canada, but yeah, it's very different. So if you start focusing on giving yourself less processed foods, cutting out the preservatives and things in the foods that you don't need, and just knowing what's in your food and seeing that there are like properties in food that will make you feel better. Like there's a famous quote, I don't remember, it's by one of like Aristotle or somebody.
One of those guys.
Yeah, one of those guys. It says, what does it say? Now I'm going to forget the quote. It's basically like food is nutrition. Food is your nutrition, or let food be thy medicine, something like that. And it's true. Like when you look back, like when humans were around at first, we were hunting and gathering. We were eating fresh meat. We were eating berries. We were getting nuts. We were getting like different kinds of like natural proteins and things like that our body would need. And proteins are processed slowly by our body, so they give us more energy for longer than bread or sugar and that kind of stuff. So weird. Yeah.
It is. It's rather interesting because, you see these diets. You see the paleo diet. You see these types of ways to adjust your thinking in terms of everything, like the 17-day diet, etc. What about exercise then? I mean, obviously, watching what you eat is very important.
Yeah.
And
I would say nutrition is probably like 70% of it. But then in order to tone and build muscle and boost your metabolism and everything like that, the exercise is crucial. So I could, like, since I've lost so much weight, you typically see somebody who has like flabby skin, or like they haven't been able to tone their body. But by doing like resistance training or strength training as well as cardio, you're finding that balance so that you're able to gain your muscle and burn your fat, and then also keep yourself toned. So it's cool. Like it's
So are we going to see you do like a semi-marathon or something like that one of these days?
Okay, funny that you say that. On April 28th, so I guess a month and a week or so from now, I'm going to be doing this thing called the Rock and Run, which it's like a 5K marathon type thing with like 15 or 16 obstacles. And the obstacles are going to suck. It's stuff like slide down a mountain full of mud and then like go into a pool of ice and climb up this thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know. I don't ever claim to be like a super athlete or anything like that. That's not what my goal is. My goal is just to like see now like how much I can do or what I can do as a result of what I've already been doing with my life, So it'll be a cool experience. I don't know if it's gonna be me. Maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing it with a couple of friends who've been so supportive throughout the whole thing, and I'm gonna wear a GoPro and just have it videoed on my head the whole time, so you hear me going, ah!
Why did I sign up for this?
I made such a mistake.
I don't know what happened to Gabe. He was going down that mudslide and we just lost track of him.
Hey, but I mean, I think back 10 months ago, I would never have thought that I would have done anything like that. And like, I wanted to find one that was a year out, because my goal after I'd gotten about 3 months in was seeing like where I could be after a year of doing this. And you might hear my dog whining in the background. She doesn't like that I'm not giving her attention, right?
Oh, well, no. I have a cockatoo beside me here, so I'm surprised he's quiet.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay. But yeah.
Well, let's talk about this then. You see that the news stories these days are all about obesity in America, in North America for that matter. It's up here in Canada too. We're going to admit it. It's okay. But what is it that, besides a lifestyle change, what do you expect people to take away from this type of documentary?
From this type of documentary, you just have to realize that it's not hopeless. Like, there is the possibility for change, and there's science behind it. So it's not just all about your motivation or your dedication. That stuff comes from when you're following what's gone wrong with your body. So like what we ended up doing is, at first I'd met a guy who did nutrition, and he had like a test that he could do to see what imbalances that I'd created in my body over 25 years of not eating right, using a microwave all the time, all that kind of stuff. And he found out that I was really, really just off balance. So he was like, okay, well, the foods that you can eat to help correct this, if you really want to, is this. And what you need to avoid is this. And it's going to be different for any person, because they will have created different deficiencies and imbalances because of whether it's their blood type or their body type or where they're from. Like, I'm from Texas originally, so I was doing Southern cooking a lot and like all that kind of stuff. Once you take into account your life situation, what you've done to get off track, and start basically readjusting it, you can do it. Like, you can really do it. And it's not only just been me. Like, I've a couple of my different friends that have been doing this type of thing. Elaine has lost 50 pounds in the last 4 months, and she's a completely different person, and she's working basically on the same type of ethic or plan, of just the healthy eating and just changing what she needs for her body. And we also, Sam is another girl who, she was a different situation, and it wasn't just about weight loss. It was about, she was struggling with bipolar disorder. And so the crazy thing is, once she started changing those things, she hasn't had to take her medication. She hasn't had to do any of that stuff. So it goes back to having food be your medicine. It's cool. It's really interesting, what your body can do once you treat it right. And the main goal, or the end goal, is where you get, or when you get where you want to be, you're going to want to keep doing it or keep being in tune with yourself. So it's not something you just drop, but it basically has made you conscious. So it's now you know what you put into your mouth was your choice. It wasn't just oh, well, somebody is making me do it. I'm going to blame the advertising companies. I'm going to blame that this was the only option at the cafeteria. And by changing your mentality and your relationship with food, which I think is a big thing. I remember basically I stopped savoring food. Food had just become a means to an end. It was just I'll go pick up some fast food. Or maybe I'll just go and eat out because I don't want to go to the grocery store, and it'll be less effort for me. But once you start realizing that you can control what you're eating, and you'll control how it makes you feel, that's where it becomes really, really cool. You become happier and healthier, and it's all stuff.
Now, I do a tech support job as well. In fact, I work at a call center at the moment right now, but I'm going to be going to university in visual arts, communication, media, and film. So what you're doing is kind of inspiring me to think of, well, what can I do? What's that major problem that I can document and I can showcase and see how resolutions are able to be grabbed?
Yeah, something that I called my mom the other day, and she was like, I just want to let you know how proud I am of you, but that I also knew that you always had this in you. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, think about all of your talents and everything that you've excelled at in your life. And think about those qualities that have made you do that. And it's always been, you're very dedicated, you're very focused, you're very detail-oriented, you're very practical. But I'd never applied them to my health or to myself, because I think I had always been the person that would give, and give, because I never thought that maybe I deserved it in a way. And then once I just realized that it was my time to do it, and I just kind of went for it, and I stuck with it, I kept using all of those different strengths that I know that I have, and that contributes to your success. So it's just knowing, you get to know yourself better, you know, in like a really, it's a cool way, and you realize like what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, so you know how to balance that too.
How many people did you actually interview, or what was your format for this DVD so that we can kind of get maybe a synopsis of what we're going to be watching?
Okay. Well, we've interviewed a ton of people, like anywhere from people that are professionals and nutritionists and like public health people in the government at different parts. And we're still looking to interview more people and go different places. We just don't have the means to do all of it quite yet. But we've kind of structured it like a science experiment. So that's where we think it's kind of cool, is if you're looking into it as science, you start the whole movie out with a question. So your hypothesis is, why am I so fat? So you start asking people, like whether it's normal people on the street or professionals, what makes people fat and what is the obesity, or what's the solution to the obesity problem? And they say all of the same things. Everybody has like these cliff notes, or like the abbreviated version of what you have to do to get in shape and not be fat. But it doesn't work all the time. So we were like, oh, okay, well, our hypothesis and our answer has led us to believe that we were asking the wrong question. So you start asking, what else could it be? And then you start going into the science of it, and you develop this like, you basically go through it and start looking at anything from digestion and the importance of digesting foods, like the properties of foods, the importance of how things help you mentally, or how your mental state also contributes to your mood and your motivation and all of that. And you just keep going out and out and out until you have a plan. And then once we have our plan, we're going to be implementing our plan. So the last like third of it is going to be a group of people that are going through this. They'll all be different people, and they'll all have different plans, but we will have broken it down in a way that even though everything they do is different, it's all following a structure that people can do. So it's like they'll see what they have been missing and what they can start correcting, and their diet plans will be different from one another's, but they'll start getting results. So then you'll be able to show and motivate people by the results of these people and by me, because I'm kind of the narrator of it. No way. That you can do this, and it's not just like a one-person thing. So that's the...
Sorry. Who was the oldest age-wise in terms of your this experiment?
Well, okay. So oldest person that we've got on board that's doing it right now is Elaine, and she's 36. But we are looking to get people that are even older, because I know there's that myth, or maybe it's not a myth, I don't even know at this point, that it's harder for people to start losing the weight as they get older and older and older. And that's something that will be interesting to do, because even if their metabolism has slowed down, the way that they're eating isn't going to be affecting that. That's going to be like the working out stuff. So if we're saying 70% of it is the food, they're still going to get results. You know, like, so that's going to be really interesting to us. And since we're still filming it and we have to get to that point where we've gone through and seen their transformations and everything, that's where it's going to be fun.
Now, you mentioned about one person in particular who had bipolar disorder, and she with the loss of weight, she actually stopped taking pills. Would you find that people that are diabetic or have those types of ailments, well, diseases, I should say, in this case, in terms of diabetes, do you feel that losing weight cannot cure everything but help?
Yeah, it can help. If it's type 2 diabetes, it can get rid of your type 2 diabetes because you're not insulin dependent. If it's type 1, it's going to be harder. My sister is a type 1 diabetic, and she's going to be getting married later this year, so we're going to start helping her. because she has some goals for the wedding. And it's important to realize that you type 1 diabetics usually get thrown to the side because they're like, oh, well, it's impossible because you're going to have to be eating a certain amount of carbohydrates so that you're not creating your insulin, you're injecting yourself with insulin. It's all of this stuff is playing into one another. But, I mean, there is something that can help them. It might not cure them of their diabetes at that point, because type 1 is something where something has actually shut down all the way and it's not producing the insulin that you need. But I mean, there's always hope for people. Like, it's not going to be the kind of thing where, oh, well, she's going to be mad that she only lost 60 pounds instead of 100 because she has diabetes, you know? Like, so it'll be cool because I'm going to be starting doing some of this with her just coming up because her wedding's in the fall. So it'll be cool to see how that goes for her too.
Well, congratulations to her.
Yeah, I know. Congratulations, Marcella. Good job.
Did you have, besides the amount of weight you lost and the energy that you've gained back, when you first started this, did you have anything that was, any ailments that was plaguing you?
I didn't, except for I was exhausted all the time, like my joints hurt, and like all of that kind of stuff. I was never diabetic. I'd never gotten to that point. I was very fortunate in that over those 25 years at that point that I hadn't really impaired myself. So I was still mobile. I was still able to move around. It was just difficult. And I'd started to like see my physical limitations, and that's what started to scare me. So once I realized that I wasn't going to be able to wear a Steadicam, or I wasn't going to be able to go up on like a lift to do like a crane shot or something like that when I was working on a music video with a friend, that made me sad. Because it was like, well, I'm out here to do this professionally, but I can't do it at 100%. So in order to do it at 100%, I have to take care of the one thing that I hadn't ever taken care of. So, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. Because it's always curious when you see these types of success stories, you never know what exactly that you go through, and I like to see that you're taking this from a more scientific aspect of it here, and that's wonderful to see. Did you have any feedback or any negative criticism from, say, like a Weight Watchers or large quote unquote companies that they build their business off of this type of stuff?
Well, okay, not yet. We have been trying to get a hold of Weight Watchers because that's one of the ones that I did use multiple times trying to get under control. And I think that at the heart of those things, they have a good plan. Like, they have the right idea to motivate people, because it's basically a support group with guidelines. And if you look at what they say, if you go down to the basics of what's in their plan, it will help if you're counting your calories, but that's not the answer. It just makes you more conscious and more aware of what is in what type of food. They want you to have like a certain amount of healthy oils of every day. So they're like, to have 2 tablespoons of oil. And that sounds weird, but like I cook with coconut oil now because I found that that's a much healthier kind of oil. And I use that more, and you wouldn't think because it has more fat that it would be healthy. So things like that are different, but their plans are all the same. So as long as you don't cheat on that program or go like, oh, well, I can have the Weight Watchers candy bar. I can have like 7 of those candy bars. That's not good for you. And in no case has that ever been good for you. Because I remember when I was doing it, like I had a certain amount of points for a day, and I knew that I could have a whole Little Caesars pizza if I didn't eat anything else for the rest of the day. So then I would feel like I was cheating it. Or then I would cheat it, and then I would feel bad, and then I would get hungry, and then I would have to go over. So it's like, you can't look at it like you're trying to beat their system. You have to just think that you're working with it. And if you're going to get the best results, you have to work down to the core of what they're saying. So it's always like more vegetables. You can have fruits. You can do blah, 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 blah. It's good to have lean proteins, cut down on the carbohydrate intake you're having, cut down on the alcohol intake. It's better to have water. Like, they have the guidelines, but I think they make it more lenient just so it can have that mass appeal. Because they want it to be like you lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. And at different weeks, I've been tracking it like week by week just to see what my progress is so I can make adjustments and things like that. Some weeks I've lost 7 pounds, and some weeks I've lost 1 or nothing, you know? And so it's about inches too. And that's when you start doing the training and the exercise, when you realize that muscle is going to weigh more. So if you feel like you had like a really good week and you're feeling all tough, maybe you're going to gain that week. And that's not a bad thing, because the next week that means your metabolism is going to have been boosted and you're probably going to lose more that week. So it's a balance. Like yeah.
I like it. That's good. Out of everything that you did when you first started this till where you are now and where you're continuing to go, you're not stopping. That's great to see. No, that, thumbs up on that one. What advice do you have for that younger generation, that generation that is considered obese, that is just getting to their teenage years or anything like that? Would this type of promotional aspect assist them in maybe getting their mindset better?
Well, I know it would help them become more aware of their options. And I actually think that this generation right now, like the younger generation, is in a much more better place in a way than we were. Because we were growing up in the times of the microwave dinner, or nobody was talking about like the Let's Move campaign. Nobody was talking about adjusting the food pyramid. Because if you looked at the food pyramid that the USDA did, it recommends that you have like a lot of bread every day. And that's not what people recommend at all anymore. So it's really interesting how you wonder what went into the decisions for how they were marketing all of those things, and seeing how it took us on a different path. And that only now, kind of like it took a long time for people to change their ideas on smoking, it's starting to change with food. So it seems like they are growing more conscious of it. There's healthy vending machines now, which I never had. You can get like different kinds of water at a gym, which before you could get a Coke. So it's all about like changing that environment around us and what is available, I think. And I think that they are in a much better place for that, but they also need to be conscious of it. Because for kids, since they are growing up, they are dealing with marketing, and they are dealing with like happy cartoon characters that are selling you fruit by the foot and things like that. So they just need to know and be aware that they do have other options as well. And I think stores like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and I don't know if you guys, like, do you have like a particular chain or brand of like food stores that are a little more healthy in your area?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very different. It's all about having access to it. And I know a lot of the programs that they've been doing with public health departments, Audrey, hey, come here. Yeah, with public health departments, they've been talking about changing the environments that people are living in. So they'll be doing more like farmers market type of things, or in convenience stores, they'll be making the push to have more fresh foods than they had before. Yeah. So it's all about changing what's around you. Because for a long time, you'd think of, in the middle of a small town, all there would be is a convenience store, and all they would have is packaged foods. Now, if you go to the same place, they probably have 2 or 3 more options.
Well, the good thing about where I am right now, like you're calling into southwestern Ontario here, so we have farm country around. We have, I can go down the road between our 2 cities here, and I can literally see, I can go to farmers' stalls. I can grab fresh food that I know they've grown. They'll tell me when the raspberries are fresh in season type deal, or corn or whatever. It's great to have that environment around you here. But you're right. You go down to the big cities, so to speak, and you get, the Zehrs, or you get the, those big, large, huge chains that are slowly getting towards the organic aspect, but
Right.
it's been years. It's been 10, 15 years.
Right.
It's crazy.
Let me take my dog out of the room real quick.
Oh, okay.
Boom, she's gone. Right.
That's simple.
Simple. It's done.
All right, well, let's keep going with this here, because this is interesting. When you started this and you did all of these fad diets, how many do you think you've gone through?
Well,
and then
the big ones that I did one of the liquid cleanse things. It's like the Hollywood diet. I did that one a long time ago, and I did that one back in junior high. And it was impossible because it was 10 days of putting this solution in this water and only drinking it for 10 days, and you'd lose 10 pounds. So I did that, and that one just made you feel terrible. And then I did Atkins, but I feel like I did Atkins at the extreme wrong way, because that was, I guess, back in my high school years when it was very popular at that point. And I would go about it by saying oh, for breakfast, I'm just going to have a pound and a half of meat, and I'm going to put a lot of cheese on it and microwave it and just eat it. And then you'd feel greasy and you'd feel horrible, but you would lose weight because it was basically forcing your body into a state of ketosis where you were just dumping. You were dumping stuff. And that's not good for you either, And I did Weight Watchers a couple of times. I tried doing Jenny Craig, but it didn't really, I didn't stick with that one for long. I know something that my parents did, which actually worked for them for a while, was the Scarsdale diet. But I only did that because they were cooking that way. So I wasn't actively doing that. And I don't know, there's just been so many small ones that come out, and different diet pills seem very exciting or new when they come out, and you're oh, well, maybe it's the quick way to lose weight, so I'm just going to type it on the internet, order it, and then those have caffeine in them. And the caffeine in those things make you feel jittery. So it makes you feel like you're on a 5-hour energy drink. And so you can do more, and it makes you think like you're doing all this stuff. But the thing about caffeine basically, makes you dump your mineral content. So it gives you a boost, a temporary boost. So anything with caffeine, like tea can do it too. It gives you that temporary boost, but then it makes you come down. And so if your diet pill is using caffeine, that means you're basically depriving your body of everything that you're wanting to keep in it. So you're losing weight because you're anxious and that you're moving, but you're not losing weight in a way that is healthy. You're not losing the stored fat. You're not accessing the way that you can get rid of what you've been wanting to get rid of. So that's why when you stop taking those, you gain it back quicker. And that's something else that's interesting is I bet at this point, if I had a piece of pizza, it would be like I was giving my body 4 pieces of pizza. And I don't want to do that kind of harm to it at this point, So that's what I'm saying earlier about changing your consciousness about what you're putting in your mouth. And is it worth it to you? But then you don't think about food, or I haven't been thinking about food. I've been wanting those things. So I go to the grocery store and I spend less on food now than I did, which I didn't think was going to be the case at all. I thought you always have that notion that eating healthier is going to be expensive, because I could go to a Burger King and get stuff off of the dollar menu, but then as I was getting stuff off of the dollar menu, the next time I wanted one more thing off of the dollar menu and another thing off of the dollar menu. And I started realizing that I was giving my body something that it couldn't handle. So then it needed more. So something interesting that the nutritionist guy was saying was that when he looked at me, he said that he thought I was starving. And he was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, what? And he's like, well, when I see someone who's really overweight, they're not digesting what they're eating. So what might take you 1 hamburger is going to take me 10 hamburgers to do. So your body's looking for that nutritional content, but you've gotten so out of whack that it's not breaking down what you're putting in. So even if you're putting something in and something's coming out at the other end, that doesn't mean that your body is like functioning right. So that's where it's become very interesting. It's like looking into digestion, what's going on inside of you, and how you get rid of all of that.
So what about all this this probiotic stuff we keep hearing about on the news and in the stores and all that stuff? I mean, the whole digestion aspect that you're speaking of, I mean, that's supposed to help us.
Yeah. And, well, it's supposed to help us, but they're saying it's supposed to help everybody. Because, so there's also like a big push for alkaline water right now. Like it's a new cool thing. But what if you're not alkaline? Or like, what if you don't need to be pushed in your alkalinity and you need to go the other way? Then you're just screwing yourself up. So it's not like anything is going to work for one person, which is why we said in the trailer, it's like your friend could gain 20 pounds for the same thing that made you lose 20 pounds. Because it's all about what's going on inside of you. So that's the thing, is like you can't... The thing that's unique about the perspective that we're having on it is, since we don't want to blame anybody, we don't want to point fingers, because we know marketing is important. Marketing dollars like keep commerce going, blah 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 blah. But you don't want to blame people. You don't want to say, oh well, Coca-Cola made me fat. No, you buying the Coca-Cola and drinking it and putting it in your mouth 4 times a day made you fat. And I don't know, like that's another thing. Like speaking of soda, one of the big things that I decided to do is I cut soda out of my life. And I've just been doing I've been doing a lot of water, and I've been doing things like, I realized that when I was drinking milk, it wasn't making me feel good. So the pasteurization process in milk, for some reason, didn't go well with me anymore. So I started doing almond milk. Or I looked for an alternative for that. And even just those couple of changes, I started losing a lot. And yeah, it's interesting once you eat something and you have a gut reaction of whether that's good or not for you. And it's that's something that most people don't understand at this point. They'll be eating food and it'll give them that little temporary high. And they'll be like, oh, well, I love cake and I love sugar and I can't do without my M&Ms. But then 30 minutes later, they're sleeping in their chair. And they're just like, no, I don't want to, yeah. So that's very, very different than being able to put something in your mouth, you're eating it, and then you hit a point where you're full and you can just put it down instead of that notion that you have to wait 20 minutes to realize if you're full. So it's like, if you make your body in tune with your brain in a way, you're basically, once you've recalibrated yourself, you don't have to wait 20 minutes. You just know, you feel it. And that's also been very cool. Realizing that I don't want to overeat because I can feel it immediately, and I know that if I do, it's just not going to feel good later. And I don't want to do that. It's all about good.
I remember when I used to overeat, I could literally, all the stuff I was eating, because I was eating a lot of greasy foods like sausages and eggs and all, that type of horrible stuff thing. And I used to feel it. If I was full, I used to feel my heart start to pump blood. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where I'm like, I think I should stop this right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my worst state or story is right before I started this, since I was doing fast food all the time, I was in my parking garage at one night and I just looked around my car and it was filled with like fast food wrappers and stuff. And that scared me, because basically like that was taking over that. And I realized that I didn't even have the energy or the willpower to like take that stuff out in a way. And that scared me too. So that was another one of those moments right at the beginning where I was like, need to make a change, because I'm surrounded, like I'm literally surrounded by all of these bad things, and I'm at a job that's not making me happy. I need to do something that can start fixing that or start changing that. And everybody hits their moment, like, and it's all about when you hit that particular moment where you realize that you need to do something about it. Like my friends asked, or they said they'd been talking about it, like how they would approach me or if they should approach me about my weight, because they don't know how I'd react. And I don't know how I would have reacted either, because it's a touchy subject. I know when my parents growing up would say something about it, I would blow it off and it would almost be like a rebellion. It's like, this is the one thing I can control, screw you guys, type of thing. And then when you hear that your friends were trying to say it, I heard that like months later. That's like, it's good that I came to that realization, because if I didn't come to that realization and I didn't want to pursue it, I mean, I could be dead. Like I really could be. Like I was 435 pounds and I was not doing a lot of anything. And I remember like some nights I would just think like, did I do my best this week? Did I give it my all, in fear that like maybe I would be dead? And that's a really, really, really scary thought. So when you get to that wall, which is different for some people it's like when you're 50 pounds overweight, you'll have a thought like that. And then you'll go into action. So you can do it yourself by the motivation, but you can also get motivated by realizing that you're correcting everything that's gone wrong with yourself.
Do you think you could have finished this or even gotten to the point where you are without the support that you've had with your family and friends?
I think I could have, but it wouldn't have been as cool of an experience. Like my friends and family have been like so supportive, and like basically my Facebook has turned into this weight loss journey blog in a way. So like whenever I post anything, even if it's not intentional, I'll get like 50 likes and like all these comments, you're looking great, blah, 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 blah. But I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for myself. And that's the most important thing, is you shouldn't try to take control of your weight to make other people happy. You should do it for your health and for your own personal happiness. So, because I mean, my friends and my family loved me before, and they love me now. And they just like that you're doing this, or they like that I'm doing it and taking it so seriously. So they appreciate the dedication, and I appreciate their support. But I don't want I don't want people to just be motivated by other people saying that you're doing great. So if somebody walks up to me now that's only been following me on Facebook, like I did last night, this guy freaked out because he hadn't seen me in a year. And he'd be like, I've been following your progress and everything. You're looking great. You're looking awesome. You're going to be an inspiration to millions. And I'm like, well, if that happens, that's cool. But if it doesn't happen, I still lost 200 pounds for myself. So you have to have that perspective that you're doing it to give something to yourself. But the thing that's cool about the documentary is I want to share it. You know, like because it's important that people can be inspired in that way, and be inspired in a way that they realize that logistically they can do it. So that's really it. Like you want people to be able to take action, have the tools that they need to take action, instead of having it be like a one size fits all type of thing.
Have you, obviously this is an inspiring story in itself, and you did it for yourself, which is wonderful. But who has inspired you throughout your life?
Well, okay. I mean, a lot of people have inspired me. Like, people inspire me all the time. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm in the business of doing movies, but stories and storytelling and just taking little bits out of different people's lives and like different emotional moments that I've had with different friends or different conversations or different interactions that I've had with my family, it's cool knowing that I can appreciate all of that stuff, and I feel like I can appreciate that stuff more now than I could at first. So I've been blessed throughout my entire life. Like my parents have always they've been more fortunate, and like we did a lot of travel when we were younger. But I remember a lot of the time back then, like I would take it for granted. I'd be like, I'm just gonna listen to my CD player. I don't care. But then I look back on it and it's like, I went to Peru. I went to London. I went to like cool places. And I think looking back on it like that, you realize like what kind of experiences they wanted you to have, and you're not always ready to understand that. So that's been a good thing for me, is like I keep telling people that I watched the show Friday Night Lights this year. And that show, I felt like informed my life. Like it made me a better person because of the writing in it, and because of how the characters are so real and well developed. You could connect with people emotionally. And it's weird that a show would do that for me just as much as like a story from my parents would do it for me. But it did, and like I feel like I can be more open and I can be more in tune with things and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Who knows?
All right. This is a great project that you have. It's of course on Indiegogo/Fat Movie. I know I've supported it. I want people that are watching this, that are listening to this, because this will be available both video and of course on iTunes as well. I want to see this succeed. You're already over halfway there. I mean, that's amazing in itself. You have a lot more time to go to complete this. What is your ultimate goal then? Once you reach your ultimate end goal, are we going to see a second movie? Or what are your marketing plans for it?
Marketing plans for it right now is, I mean, we want to be able to market it to festivals, and we want to be able to try to get it out there even more. And we're currently looking for different sponsorship opportunities with different companies that, like I've been using, like I was saying, I use coconut oil, and I like the brand that I want to go after. I don't know if I should even say it, but it's just like all of those different things that have led to the success. It's like I've been using sea salt a lot more than normal salt because it has a higher mineral content. Like little things like that. It's trying to figure out how to incorporate that to get it seen by more people and get it seen by different audiences. And I mean, for the future of it, I'm not sure. Like people keep asking me, they're like, you're going to make like $1 billion on this, make it an industry. And it's like, I don't know if I'm ready yet to be like a person at a seminar. It's like, all right, let's get pumped up, let's lose some weight type of thing. Or it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna make a workout DVD or like anything like that. So expansion is, I don't know where it's gonna go, and I don't know if I want to, because I don't want to plan that. It seems like everything's kind of been happening naturally, or opportunities have been coming out of the experience. So I don't want to say what I'm going to be able to do with it. I just want to know that in the end, I will have gotten to where I wanted to be, and I will have given back with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Personally, I think that's a great way to end this interview, actually. Honestly, Gabe, it's been truly a pleasure speaking with you. You've given me the inspiration to lose my 30 pounds.
That's right. Do it.
That's my goal. I want to get that done. But I truly wish you success for this. And I have to thank Jill Thompson. If I didn't see her tweet about this about your video interview, about your documentary,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done this interview. And truly, I got to thank her for pointing me in your direction.
I met her 2 years ago at Comic-Con, and I'm going to be seeing her again. She hasn't seen me in person since, so that will be very exciting too.
Well, when I see her in Chicago at C2E2, I'll make sure I talk with you, but I'm not going to say a single word.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. It was great talking to you.